The reservation was for two. But not for me. He said he had a client dinner. I nodded, smiled, and wished him luck with the pitch. But as soon as he left, I opened his laptop. Because the night before, he'd forgotten to close a tab. And what I saw? A dinner reservation. 7:30 p.m. For two. At Belle Noire, the most expensive, intimate Italian restaurant in the city. And it wasn't a client dinner. Because the reservation wasn't under his company email. It was under his first name, followed by hers. Daniel plus Marissa. Not exactly subtle. I sat there, heart thudding, staring at the confirmation screen. I could have confronted him right then. Could have called and asked him who she was. Could have cried, screamed, threatened, begged. But I didn't. Instead, I picked up my phone, opened OpenTable, and made my own reservation. Same night. Same time. Same restaurant. But here's the twist. I didn't plan to go alone. Let me back up. My name is Claire Walters. I'm 36, a mother of two, and until recently I thought I was happily married to Daniel, the man I met in college, married at 25, and built a life with over the last 11 years. We had date nights. A joint savings account. Matching mugs from Paris. But apparently that wasn't enough. Because for the last 4 months, Daniel had been seeing someone else. And from what I could gather based on the email trail he forgot to delete, her name was Marissa Green. A woman he met through work. Younger. Newly divorced. And based on her social media, fond of captioning wine photos with things like earning it and self-care. That afternoon, I did some digging. I found her LinkedIn, her Instagram, and most importantly, her ex-husband, Tom Green. Accountant. Low social presence, but just enough breadcrumbs to track him down. I debated it for a while. Texted a draft message and deleted it. Rewrote it. Rewrote it again. Then I finally sent it. Hi. You don't know me, but I believe your ex-wife is having an affair with my husband. I have evidence. Would you be open to meeting? He responded 15 minutes later. Yes. Named the place. I stared at the screen for a long time. I didn't expect that answer. Not so fast. Not so calm. Maybe I wasn't the only one who'd been betrayed. We agreed to meet that evening. A neutral coffee shop, 2 neighborhoods away. When I arrived, I spotted him instantly. Mid-40s. Clean cut. Looked more like a professor than an accountant. He stood when I approached. Polite. Guarded. Claire, I said, offering my hand. Tom. We sat down. He ordered black coffee. I didn't order anything. My stomach was a fist of acid. I'm sorry to bring this to you, I said. He nodded. I had a feeling. Just didn't know who. I showed him the screenshots. The dinner reservation. A photo of Daniel and Marissa at a charity event she'd posted. He had told me he was in Chicago that day. Tom didn't blink. Yup. That's her, he said. That's the necklace I bought her for our 10th anniversary. I expected anger. Rage. But all he said was, thank you for showing me. We sat in silence for a while. Then he leaned forward. What do you want to do? That's when I told him. About the reservation. About my plan. Same night. Same table section. I want them to see us. Laughing. Drinking wine. Living. He raised an eyebrow. You want to play their game? No, I said. I want them to know they're not winning. He considered it. Then smiled. A slow, sad, sharp smile. I'll wear a suit. We agreed on everything. Arrival time, clothing coordination, how long to stay. I texted the restaurant to ensure our table would be placed in close view of theirs. They didn't need to know why. Just that it was for a special reunion. And in a way, it was. When I got home that evening, Daniel was in the shower. I could hear him humming. I stood outside the door for a second, listening, trying to remember when that sound used to comfort me. Now it made me nauseous. He stepped out, towel-wrapped, kissed me on the cheek. "Wish me luck," he said, pulling on the blazer I bought him last Christmas. "Good luck," I replied. "You'll kill it." He smiled, grabbed his keys, and left. As soon as I heard the engine fade down the street, I slipped into the bedroom. Picked out my dress. The red one. The one he said was too much for date night. Perfect. I texted Tom. "Leaving now." "Me too," he replied. "Let's ruin their night." She laughed at his joke. I topped off my wine. Belenoir was dimly lit, with white candles flickering on every table and soft jazz humming through the air like a secret. The perfect setting for romance, or, in our case, confrontation. I arrived first. The maitre d' recognized the name and smiled as he led me to the table I'd requested, one with a clear line of sight to table 17. Daniel's table. I sat down, adjusted the silverware, and waited. Exactly 2 minutes later, Tom walked in. He looked sharp, charcoal suit, pressed collar, a cool confidence in his stride. The kind of look you wear when you've already buried the hurt and are now preparing to return the favor. He gave me a nod, pulled out his chair, and sat down. "You look stunning," he said. "Likewise," I replied. "Let's make this a night they never forget." We didn't have to wait long. At 7:28, I spotted them through the frosted glass entry. Daniel, in his signature navy blazer, and Marissa, arm tucked into his, wearing a plunging black dress I'd seen once in a boutique he swore was too expensive for me. They were led straight to table 17. 2 feet away. Close enough to hear their voices. Close enough to smell her perfume, something floral and sharp, like gardenia and deceit. I watched them sit. Marissa giggled as Daniel helped her with her chair. He said something. She laughed again. Tom poured our wine. "To revenge," he said, raising his glass. I tapped mine against his. "To knowing." We drank. And then? We got to work. We laughed. We smiled. We leaned close like co-conspirators with secrets deeper than theirs. I tossed my hair, laughed louder than usual, and rested my hand on Tom's arm just long enough for Marissa to notice. She did. Her head turned slightly, curiosity flickering in her eyes. Then confusion. Then stillness. Daniel hadn't seen us yet. But she had. And her smile dimmed. I caught her watching us twice. The third time, I smiled directly at her. She quickly looked away. Tom leaned in. "She's panicking." "She should." A server appeared at their table. Took their order. Daniel handed back the menus without even glancing our way. We were invisible to him. But not for long. As the appetizers arrived, ours and theirs, Daniel finally turned. I felt it. That subtle shift in energy when someone recognizes something they shouldn't. His eyes locked on Tom first. A flicker of confusion. A pause. Then his gaze shifted to me. And he froze. Fork halfway to his mouth. His expression turned pale. Then red. Then something in between. He wasn't sure if this was real. Or a coincidence. Or a nightmare. Tom raised his glass toward Daniel in a small, polite salute. I just smiled and sipped my wine. Daniel whispered something to Marissa. She turned. Saw us. Her lips parted like she wanted to say something. Or run. But she didn't. She reached for her glass with a trembling hand. Daniel stood up. I placed my glass down gently and leaned back in my seat. Let him come. Let him speak. Let the house he built on secrets crumble right here, in front of flickering candles and linen napkins. And then? He started walking toward us. He asked what I was doing there. I said, watching you fail. Daniel stopped at the edge of our table like he wasn't sure whether to whisper or scream. Claire, he began, his voice tight. What are you doing here? I didn't look up immediately. I let the moment sit. I swirled the wine in my glass, took a calm sip, then finally met his eyes. Enjoying dinner, I said. And watching you self-destruct. Tom leaned back in his chair, arms crossed. His expression was unreadable, not smug, not angry. Just still. Solid. Daniel looked between us, trying to compute what this was. What the hell is going on? He hissed. Tom answered before I could. We decided to have our own date night, seeing as our spouses already had one planned. Daniel flinched. Not visibly. But something in his neck stiffened. From the next table, someone glanced over. Then another. The hum of jazz didn't quite drown out the tension anymore. This is a misunderstanding, Daniel said quickly. Claire, can we talk outside? Alone? Oh, now you want privacy? I asked. How considerate. He stepped closer. Please. No, I said sharply. You don't get to steer this. Not anymore. He turned to Tom. You too, huh? Tom leaned forward. Me too, what? Furious you made me believe my wife was healing when she was practicing her affair smile? That hit. Daniel opened his mouth, but no words came out. From their table, Marissa had gone pale. She was clutching her napkin like it was the last piece of dignity she had. Go sit down, Daniel, I said. Your appetizer's getting cold. He didn't move. So I leaned in, lowering my voice just enough to slice. Do you know how easy it was? One click into your inbox. One open tab. You left the affair trail like breadcrumbs. Daniel's jaw clenched. Tom stood. And for a moment I thought maybe it would come to blows. But instead, he walked past Daniel, toward Marissa. She looked up, lips parted, eyes already glassy. Don't bother pretending, Tom said. You're not sorry. You're just caught. Tom, please, she whispered. I don't want your explanation, he said. I want my time back. The months I wasted thinking you were grieving our marriage when you were actually shopping for a replacement. Marissa started to cry. Small, quick tears. Not loud. Not public. But real. The server hovered awkwardly nearby. Should I bring the check? I turned. Smiled. Not yet. This table's just heating up. Daniel made one last desperate attempt. He leaned down and whispered, We can fix this. I made a mistake. I laughed. Loud enough to turn heads. Daniel, a mistake is forgetting your anniversary. A mistake is spilling wine on the rug. You, my darling, made a lifestyle. Tom stepped back beside me. Let's go, he said softly. But I had one last move. I stood, picked up my bag, tucked in my chair, and as I turned to leave, I handed Daniel a small envelope. He opened it before I even made it to the door. Inside? A single printed screenshot. Of him. And Marissa. Arms locked. In front of the hotel he said didn't exist. With the timestamp. The date. The digital receipt. Proof. And at the bottom, a handwritten note. This is just the first copy. I hope your boss enjoys the rest. Daniel's face strained. Tom opened the door for me, and we stepped out into the cool night air. The wind hit like clarity. Where to next? He asked. I smiled. Oh, I have plans. His affair went public. And I let it. The next morning, I sent the email. Not to Daniel. To his boss. Subject line. Professional Conduct Review, confidential. I attached the photo. The hotel receipt. The timestamp. And a short message. I thought you should be aware that your regional director has been charging company expenses for personal affairs. I have more evidence if needed. I didn't sign it. I didn't have to. 3 hours later, Daniel's phone lit up on the kitchen counter. Need you in the office. Now. Emergency. He didn't come home that night. But I didn't wait around either. I had an appointment. Marlene Klein, divorce attorney. Smart. Sharp. Fierce. She reviewed the binder I brought, a masterpiece of deception catalogued in neat tabs and labeled emails. Wow, she said. You've done my job for me. I want the house. Full custody. And I want every dime spent on her back in my account. Marlene nodded. We'll bury him. She handed me a list of financial moves to start immediately. Freeze credit. Open a separate account. Change autopay setups. Reroute direct deposits. By noon, my finances were mine again. And Daniel? He was still trying to salvage his job. The affair photos were already circulating. Not viral. Just company-wide. Apparently, someone in HR had a grudge. Tom messaged me that afternoon. Marissa's yoga friends all unfollowed her. How do you know? Because she called me crying. Said I ruined her reputation. I smiled. Did you? Not yet, he replied. But her Pilates studio might be getting a customer review from a concerned ex-husband this evening. Tom had style. I poured myself tea and sat by the window. No crying. No shaking. Just quiet. Just calm. Because the world I'd been living in, the lie, was collapsing. And for once, I wasn't the one buried in the rubble. I was the one holding the match. That night, I ordered takeout and watched a movie with my daughter. She asked if Dad would be late again. I said yes. But not forever. The next morning, a package arrived from Daniel's office. Inside was a formal letter. He was suspended pending further review. I texted Marlene. Do I wait to file? No. File now. While he's still off balance. So I did. The paperwork went out the next day. Served at his office. I made sure of that. The same building where he once bragged about control, power, and reputation. Now he was just a scandal in a suit. And Marissa? Gone from every social feed. Her Instagram deactivated. Her LinkedIn scrubbed. And that Pilates studio? Tom sent me a screenshot. A 1-star review that read, Beware of stolen husbands in the stretching room. Core strength doesn't equal character. It went viral, in their community at least. I was rebuilding now. One drawer at a time. One account. One room. One breath. I changed the sheets. Repainted the bedroom. Donated the jacket Daniel loved but I always hated. My daughter laughed when I danced in the kitchen. I was lighter. Not because he was gone. But because I stopped carrying the version of me that waited for him to change. Then, just as I finished placing fresh flowers in the foyer, there was a knock at the door. I opened it. And there he was. Daniel. Worn down. Eyes hollow. Tie gone. Hair undone. Claire, he said. Please. He said he lost everything. I said not everything. Just me. Daniel looked like a man who hadn't slept in days. His eyes were bloodshot. His suit wrinkled. His pride leaking through the seams. He stood there on the front step like someone who forgot what home was supposed to feel like. Claire, he said. Please. Just, can we talk? I didn't say anything at first. Just watched him. The way he shifted nervously. The way his fingers twitched like they were still holding on to something. A lie, maybe. Or hope. I lost my job, he added. HR said they're forwarding everything to legal. Still, I stayed quiet. He stepped closer. They're freezing my severance. I don't know what I'm going to do. I raised an eyebrow. You seem to have plans before. His mouth opened, then shut again. I was stupid, he said finally. Arrogant. I thought I could have both. The family. The thrill. His voice cracked. I was wrong. There it was. His confession. Clean. Predictable. Too late. I crossed my arms. Why now? Because everything's gone. I nodded slowly. Exactly. He blinked. I thought you'd at least let you in? I cut in. Feel sorry for you? Hand you tissues while you unpack the consequences you gift wrap for yourself? He flinched. And I stepped outside. Closed the door behind me. I was good to you, Daniel, I said. Loyal. Present. Tired maybe, but never absent. And while you were out treating your insecurity with candlelit betrayals, I was holding this family together. I know, he whispered. No. You don't know. You thought I'd never leave. You thought I'd always be the woman who says, it's okay, just come home. Tears formed in his eyes. Real ones. But I didn't soften. Because those tears? They weren't for me. They were for him. For his fall. His failure. Not my loss. I never meant to hurt you. He mumbled. Intentions don't matter. Actions do. He looked down at the porch, like it could offer him shelter. I took a breath. I filed for divorce. I said. He nodded. I figured. And I'm keeping the house. I know. And custody. Another nod. And you'll reimburse every cent you funneled into your affair. I'll try. You'll do it. I turned to go. But then stopped. I have one more thing. He looked up. I handed him a copy of something I'd prepared just days earlier. A notarized letter. From our financial advisor. Confirming that I'd already pulled my name from every shared asset. Redirected every auto payment. Moved every remaining joint fund into a trust, for the kids. His name? Nowhere on it. He read it. Stared at it. I'm broke, he said, like the words just hit him. No, I said. You're free. That's what you wanted, isn't it? He didn't answer. And I walked back inside. Quietly. No slammed doors. No dramatic farewell. Just a soft click behind me. Inside I exhaled. It wasn't relief. It was release. Over the next week, I packed away the last physical remnants of Daniel. Photos. Jackets. A drawer full of cufflinks he no longer needed. I donated the mug that said, World's Best Husband. Bought new sheets. Started sleeping better. One evening Tom sent a message. Saw Daniel downtown. He looked hollow. I'm not surprised. I replied. You okay? I'm free. And it was true. I didn't just survive the affair. I flipped it. Turned it inside out. I didn't need revenge in flames or fury. I burned it slowly. Precisely. With clarity. And in the end? Daniel lost his job. His status. His control. Marissa disappeared into the quiet corners of scandal. And me? I got something better than justice. I got me back. A few weeks later, I hosted a dinner. Just close friends. The kids. Laughter in every room. And in the background? My favorite jazz record. The one Daniel said was too slow. I danced in the kitchen as the timer went off. And smiled. Because sometimes the loudest revenge is the life you build after the destruction. The one they never get to be a part of.